Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Dan.
How is everyone?
Morning.
Just hanging out here, huh? All right, it's Thursday. Tell me about your week. What's going on? What's going good? What can we help you with? Good morning, Miss Tina. That was a good
Today's inspection day.
inspection day, Robin. Woo! Is there any concern?
Not with this one. I'm more worried about the inspections on the one Saturday with the older HVAC.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, fingers crossed. Things work out.
Yep, so hopefully today's townhouse is good report.
Good, clean townhome. I like it. Good morning, Miss Brenda. How is the rest of you? Anything else going on this week?
I got 2 buyer consultations Friday and 1 Saturday.
That is awesome. All right. Sounds like
Mara, what'd you win yesterday?
Well, ironically, I won the Old Republic basket, and it's full of alcohol, and I don't drink, so I will be regifting, I guess.
same.
Oh, and a little thing to share. My listing went live yesterday. It's listed at 285 in the Northwest, about 1,800 square feet. We had about 10 showings. The last person, their agent was across town, so I just offered to show it, and she was like, "Oh, thank you so much." Well, they sent in an offer, and it's VA, and she's like, "Oh, they've lost out a lot." They didn't even put down 1% in earnest money, so I'm not sure what to say to her other than they couldn't put down 1% earnest money. And we've said we're going to wait anyway, and she's pressuring us to make a decision today. But I counseled that we wait a couple days to decide on offers. So anyway, just throwing that out because we can really obviously make a difference in our people's offers, and that just didn't seem very strong. When she said, "Oh, they've lost out on a bunch of offers," and I'm like, well, maybe this is why, lady, you're not coaching them to. It doesn't look very earnest when you don't at least put down that. So.
And you're right. Right now, it doesn't behoove your sellers to take the first offer if you go live during the week. Give it through the weekend. So Anyone else have an issue? Like if you got somebody calls you up and says, hey, you guys gonna accept their offer today or not? You know, is that a hard thing to push past?
Have to do the best thing for our seller, right? And so,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna try to be tactful. I'm not sure.
Awesome. That's good stuff. Anything else before we jump into this? Got lots of shiny smiling faces this morning.
Well, I wrote 2 offers yesterday, so if you guys could just send good vibes my way, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Anyone got a buyer for Moran, like Aver Valley, 1 acre, 300,000, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot house? So I'm going on a listing appointment with today's friend of mine. Not really a listing appointment. It's more of a tell her what she needs to fix and just tell her to just put it on the market. So I think we can get it sold pretty quick.
Y'all have anything with more property? My brother's got friends from Southern California area who are desperately interested in moving to the area. I'm in Sierra Vista. They liked Hereford, but they're kind of open. He still wants to be able to run a business. He's got a bunch of cars and things. They do that. So he needs property, wants to put up a building, like a garage if one doesn't exist. But there's just nothing. They left here the other day with nothing to look at even. And that's another question I have, if y'all don't mind. There was a house just up, it's kind of Whetstone, that went on the market, and 2 minutes later it wasn't available anymore. So it hit the MLS and it already had an offer on it. So not only is that not good for the seller, in my opinion, but isn't there some kind of a guideline or rule about how long it needs to be on the MLS? I mean, these people were here. The phone call was made the instant it came available, and they were told already, no, you can't even go look at it. It's already sold.
It probably had an offer on it off market before it was ever even listed.
But these people probably would have paid more. That's the point.
That's the unfortunate aspect, is if a seller makes a decision to accept an offer, and I say it like that, the seller makes the decision to accept the offer, they are shortchanging themselves the opportunity of putting their house on the open market and receiving multiple and possibly better offers. It's very frustrating as a buyer's representative that you've got that, like, hey, we didn't even get a chance to look at this.
Right.
Unfortunately, the way it lands is whatever the seller decides goes.
Yeah.
The rule about being an MLS is open and fair between marketing. If we are going to market a property, we have to market to everybody, not just to our local sphere, or hold it in pocket and market it around our neighborhoods. Or that's where that came in.
Right.
I have had multiple deals that went under contract before we ever even signed a listing agreement.
Yeah.
And I signed the listing and had them sign the offer in the same minute.
Wow.
But that's just
Since Anya out of the office here was the one showing my brother's friends, because I wasn't quite ready. So, but I feel bad for Anya and I feel bad for his friends, because they left here with nothing to look at, and they made a special trip here. So it's kind of unfortunate.
We'll just scour what's out there and see if we can't find them something. That's the important to keep looking.
So that's my lead into, they're still looking and they would like to come to the area. And so they would like a few acres and, 3-4 bedroom house, but to be able to do a business. So anyway, any thoughts?
One piece of advice they gave last week during family reunion was to look at old expireds.
Like
and I was also looking for a client for an unusual property, so some acreage and a big, like you, they wanted a big garage or something. So to even just plug in those specs and see if there's anything out there, if you can tell that it sold a while ago, and if someone might be, willing to sell. Like they're saying, we just got to go, sometimes send letters or go knock on doors to find our people property right now. But those are just a couple thoughts.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. I don't see anyone else jumping the bit. Miss Brenda, thank you for bringing that up, but it just goes to talk about yesterday's stats call. The market is ever shifting and it's very difficult to be a buyer's agent right now. So we need to think creatively, go out there, door knock, find properties. The best way to help your buyers out is find them a seller. Right now, we're not shopping for properties, we're shopping for sellers. And if we get the sellers, we can put them with the buyer, then you might have the opportunity to have that off-market deal. So that's the best way to help our friends and families, and definitely feel your pain. So today's objection is simple. And we've all dealt with it, both buyers and sellers. I don't want to sign a contract. Who's received something along those lines? I don't want to sign a contract, right? Stormy, we're going to start with you because you're the first to raise your hand. How have you handled that in the past?
I shortened the term. So like say like before I used to write 1-year terms on a listing agreement or buyer broker. Now I just do 6 months. And then if they don't feel comfortable, well, I automatically do 6 months, obviously on a listing because you don't need more. So then I'll shorten it to like 3 or something, and I'll tell them, hey, well, let's do a 3-month agreement, and if I don't sell it before that, then we'll revamp and talk about it then. Or and then the other thing was too is like for a buyer, right? Like I just say, hey, my services to you is free. And I'm not charging you for anything. I'm not charging you a retainer fee or anything like that, but I will get paid through the seller. So I need you to sign this buyer broker so that you can hire me. And that's it.
There you go. Making shorter agreements and then understanding that they're not paying anything. Yes, Mr. Nichols.
I have a very simple answer. I don't work without a contract.
There you go.
And I refuse to do that, whether it be a buyer or a seller. And they look at me, you don't want my business? Well, you don't want to hire me. And then I look at them and says, what's wrong with this? And if they say, no, I'm not going to sign a contract, that's going to be some other realtor's problem guy, a problem person. I don't want them.
Frank laughing a little bit, but no, Dick is 100% right. Being a professional means that you're going to have standards the way you operate. When you go into a doctor's office, what do you fill out? Questionnaire, right? You're also signing something. That's an agreement for them to give you service. Stop it. My
I'm
dog's
sorry, it's just my stomach doing that. I didn't mean to do that.
Like yesterday, I dropped my truck off at the body shop to get fixed, and I had to sign a contract to allow them to do the work. Typically the only thing we don't have to sign a contract for is when we're buying something. But the exchange of tender, not Tinder, tender is the contractual agreement. When you hand them something of value, they hand you back the resource or item that you're looking for. That was the contract. So don't be afraid of saying something like Dick said is, I apologize, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if I've sent something that may not align with what you're thinking. I'm a professional agent. I don't work without a contract. That being said, this is just an agreement between you and I saying that I'm going to do everything within my power to make sure that we find you the right house. And it's also saying that you as the client will do everything within your right to acknowledge and understand the relationship that you and I have. At any point that I'm not servicing your needs at the highest and best of what you believe my abilities should be, let's discuss it. And if I'm falling short, I'll fire myself. Newer agents get stuck in the commission dilemma. I don't want to call it commission breath or the necessity and need overhaul, but those of us who have been in the business for a while remember our first deals. We were hungry. We were excited. Everything became an opportunity. We didn't feel like we had the luxury of saying no, right? You got people calling you up at 8 o'clock at night. Hey, I want to go see this house right now. And you're like, okay, sorry, huzzy. I got to put on my shoes and go show a house at 8:30 at night on the other side of town. I'll be back around 10. Like, no, like nowadays, I look back at those first starting months and years and seeing that I was chasing the paycheck. And it became easier for me to grow a business and to have a sustainable understanding of my schedule when I worked more contractually. That means the agreements that I put in place, both verbal, nonverbal, and written, aligned with what I was going to do and what I expected out of my clients. One of the best questions in the world is, what do you expect out of your agent? And you can find out what they're going to need you to do, or what they're going to expect you to do, or what HGTV told them that you're going to do. Right? You and your twin brother are going to help them buy a house and flip it. Right? You all know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm not a 6'5", GQ model, or have a twin brother.
Close, though. You are close.
Oh, I'm so close. So close.
If I could just pipe in there, if you don't present yourself to your clients that you respect yourself and your professionalism and your quality of work that you provide to our service you provide to your clients, if you don't show that you respect that, how will they respect you in the future? And nothing's worse than having a bad client, whether it be a buyer or a seller, who doesn't respect you and they think they can just walk all over you, because that becomes the so-called client of hell. And you really don't want it. Each and every one of you here, you deserve a lot better than that. And with the market, everybody knows the market is super hot, especially the buyers. So the buyer's going to ask you, I want you to just run all over Kingdom Come to help me find the house of my dreams, but I don't want to sign an agreement saying you're my realtor. What's wrong with that picture?
There's a lot wrong with it, guys.
Oh, I just wondered. Okay.
Anyone else have an experience with that we can tie into and help bring in some more? As a client, let's think of ourselves in consumer. Are you okay signing an agreement that binds you to work with one individual? Let's be real. I got one, yeah. I got a bunch of people just staring stoically at the screen.
Repeat that, Dan. What was the question?
As a consumer, do you feel comfortable signing an agreement that aligns you to work with one individual, in regardless of what you're looking for?
I'd say yes.
Okay, Stormy says yes. The rest of you, Tina, BB, Robin's kind of saying.
You've had the conversation and you know that they have your needs and your goals in mind, and you've had a meeting of the mind on what that looks like, then yes. But a lot of times, like when I just bought this house back in October, was new to the area, and I was in that battle that where all of our buyers are in now. I was there, and yes, everything was 5, 6, 10. It's already sold. Let's not even bother it. I've been there just recently, and so sometimes when you're trying to find yourself, and I was coming from Texas, so I started looking before I came from Texas. You call on that house and you get that listing agent. And so now you're talking to them, and then they want to represent you, but you really just called on that house, and then you end up working with someone else. So I'm just, from a buyer's perspective, if they are looking online at homes, then you end up talking to all these different agents. And so some of them were so busy, I didn't even hear back. Or if I wasn't interested in that house or it was already sold, then they wanted me to join them or whatever. And I was still in Texas and we hadn't had a conversation. So it is a little, I'm a relationship person. That's how I did outside sales years ago. So it's hard for me to just say, oh, I liked your listing, so yeah, now you can be my agent whether I buy that one or not. I think there's more to it than that.
And if you think about this, let's say you found the person of your dreams that you want to get married, all right? You go out and become engaged to more than one person at the same time?
No.
What kind of commitment is that? So I would say to somebody, if you want to be married to a realtor to get the job done for you, and you want to have 3 or 4 realtors all working for you at the same time, you're not going to get any commitment from anybody. And the realtor is definitely, if he or she has any brains at all, will not want to be doing business with somebody who will not commit to working with you. This is a huge product. You can buy a house, you're looking at least $100,000 usually or more than that. That's a big deal. Why would you not expect someone to say, I want you to help me spend 100 grand, but I'm going to ask a bunch of other people too.
Right, Jacob?
What? I didn't hear you.
Oh, no.
What's up?
Don't you agree, Jacob?
Yeah.
No, him and Stormy were chatting where Jacob was leaning over talking, just giving.
Yeah, talking to DA.
Oh, but Dick, you're right. And I wanted to bring out all of these points because it helps us anchor in what we're going to say to our clients. Like Dick brought up, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. You want to know that the person you're working with is there to work on your behalf, not their own. Right? Like Stormy says, working with one independent person gives them, you know that you can rely on that one person. It's one point of contact. Right? Anyone ever bought furniture from Sam Levitt's? You walk in there and they're like hawks on you, right?
I love it.
You want to buy this one? You want to buy this one? You want to buy this one? This doesn't sell. I can buy this one. I'm going to see it in stock right now and see if you want to take it home with you today. No, it's always about what they can sell. It's not asking you questions. It's not finding out what's going to work best for you. It's they're there to make a sale. That type of salesmanship is what creates the relationship with people mentally where they do not want to align themselves with one person. However, anyone ever worked with a lawyer or other kind of financial advisors?
Worked for a lawyer?
Worked for one. But like that's the thing is when people get in trouble, every TV show in the world, and the criminal gets in trouble, what do they scream out? Get me my lawyer, not get me a lawyer. Right? My lawyer. We talked about this a little bit on Family Reunion, which I thought was kind of funny, is that we align ourselves with that. Is when somebody has a question about real estate, I want them to say the same things. Get me my agent. Not just any agent, my agent.
Right.
That's where we can start having better conversations. So when somebody says, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I understand that you don't want to work with one independent agent. You feel like you would be able to scour the market better looking for, multiple houses with multiple agents. I can assure you that you're not going to get the same service because you don't have somebody that is solely committed to looking after your best interests and helping you develop the search that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You don't go to multiple doctors when you're sick. You go to the one you trust the most, right?
Right. Yeah.
In the anchoring, right? You can see why it's important for you to work with just one agent. And I promise you, if I'm not holding up my end of the bargain, let's discuss it. If I'm doing something if I'm not doing something you expect me to do, let's discuss it. If I'm cutting short, I will fire myself. So buyer agreements are something I think you guys need to have in every deal. They're not mandatory. They're not mandatory to any brokers that I understand. They're highly incentivized. But that just shows a different level of professionalism. Yes, Ms. Tricia.
I was just going to say a long time ago when I bought my house in Kansas City, my agent asked us, my husband and I, do you want to sign the buyer broker? Are you comfortable with that? We didn't even know what it was. So sometimes we think that the consumer understands all that, and we didn't. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's work together tomorrow. At the end of the day, you tell me if this is a good fit. If it is, we'll sign this agreement that says we're working together. And the next day we said to him, do you have that piece of paper you wanted us to sign? We'll go ahead and do that, because he sold us during that one day out, but we just didn't know what it was.
Yeah. When somebody says a buyer broker, that's it goes back into what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is using jargon. Buyer broker, prelim, comps. That's the standard industry term. We don't, as consumers, I'm bringing back the real estate from me. As consumers, don't know what the hell that is. A buyer broker? No. I've even had agents within our company reach out to me and say, hey, I see that there's a broker's contract class on Friday. I'm not a broker. Can I go to it? Absolutely. It's a class for everyone being taught by the broker. So even people in our industry may be confused by the way things are worded. A buyer broker agreement has no real world application other than real estate agents. But we can break it down like Trisha was saying. If they would have signed it, they just knew what it was. This is an agreement between you and I that I'm going to uphold my fiduciary responsibility and look after your best financial interests. You as an agent.
But also, Dan,
Go ahead, Nicole. You've been waiting to say something.
sorry to interrupt you, but isn't it, also, I know it's awesome to have it. I get it. But also, isn't it that you can't enforce it unless you take them to court though?
Yeah. I have yet to sue a client and I don't plan on doing so.
I know, me neither. I mean, it would ruin the reputation, right? I mean, it would just not be
Hey,
good
Dan.
for referral or anything.
Right.
Hey, Dan, I got a question.
Sure.
Would it be, because the buyer broker, although that's what it's called and, it's a jargon, we shouldn't shy away from it, right? Because
Absolutely not.
Because if you do say, like, if you're in front of a client and you bring up, hey, look, in order for me to get hired, you got to sign this buyer broker. What the heck is a buyer broker, Stormy? And then I would sit there and I would actually pull it out and I would go line for line, and it tells you and explains. I feel like when I'm sitting down with a client and a client that questions stuff and you go over it, it almost helps you both decide whether you can work together just by going over this simple piece of paper, and it's only like 1 or 2 pages, right? And it tells you, these are my duties for you, to you. This is what you're owed from me, and this is what my responsibilities are, which is a lot, and it's a big responsibility. It explains it in it. That's what I do. I don't know.
Stormy, can I just point out something? We have to be bilingual. And then by bilingual, I mean, we speak realtorese, but we got to speak English that our clients understand it. When I worked for AT&T, I used to try to drum into my salespeople, don't speak telephonese, because all the acronyms, all the symbols, a binzer. What is a binzer? A lot of people think that I'm saying a binger. We're going to go on a binge. All right. You have to be able to communicate to your customers or your prospects, understanding. And if I'm talking to someone who does not speak English and I don't speak Spanish, oh my God, I've got a problem. I better find someone who speaks Spanish so they can translate it so the person understands what they're doing. What you're saying is, to take the paper out and go over it. What it is, it's a simple agreement how we're going to operate. They understand those terms, and this is how we do it. The state of Arizona is a very buyer-friendly state, and they want to protect the buyers. So they came up with this agreement, this information to spell out what our responsibilities and our fiduciary. Now, what is fiduciary? It means our vested interest in making sure that you get the representation you need. You break it down to the simple common denominator and you say, do you understand her? Is that right? Fair enough. And you keep testing the waters and making sure they understand. And believe me, if you do that and the person really understands it, they're going to go, this is a lot easier. I got someone who speaks my language. And oftentimes we get so wrapped up in our business because we've all been through the different schools of real estate. We look at all these forms and paper. Don't get bogged down with that. Your job is really being a salesperson, helping someone buy a house or someone selling a house. And you know how to translate their needs and their wants and their desires into the system that we have. And that's why you are very valuable. Realtors are a very valuable industry. You people, each and every one of you, you know more than you know more in your little finger than most of the prospects want to buy a house or sell a house. It's just that simple. So congratulate you all, but translate it.
Dan, I wanted to share a short script.
Yes.
That was shared with us a while back. It was something like, I want to consult with you on what is probably the largest financial purchase of your life. And it kind of goes back to what Stormy was saying, if they show themselves to be coachable and to take the time to talk with you, because we want to do, it was hard to know what to do in a buyer's consultation, but then I think they gave out a slideshow, which you probably have, Dan. And we also have that list of questions to ask people. And at the end of that PowerPoint, it says, 100% of my clients sign the buyer broker. And it gives you a chance, obviously, to get them to do that at the end of that conversation. But anyway, I think it's really important, like you said, if people will take the time to meet with you and do that, even if we're doing it over Zoom, that's a good start, I think.
Right.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
We're talking about the buyer broker, and Stormy made a good point, have that form out, go through it line by line. But the point that separates you from every other realtor out there, if you're in a buyer consultation or a listing presentation, and if they state that they're, I need to choose what realtor I'm going to work with, that basically indicates that they are likely are talking to more than one. If you want to separate yourself from everybody else, get out the buyer broker. And when you get onto this topic, here's my commitment to you, and read line 9. No other realtor is going to do this. Line 9 states that the broker representing a client has the responsibility, the fiduciary duties of loyalty, obedience, disclosure, confidentiality, and accounting in working with you and for you. And if you read line 9 on that document and make yourself that transparent, but also committing that to them in front of them in either a buyer broker or a listing consultation, that separates you from every other realtor, because no other realtor is going to take the time to read line 9. But when you make that statement, that's a hell of a commitment to someone. So I really think that can stand out as a true professional kind of thing, or professional move, or just to show you the level of profession that you're really willing and ready to commit to for that client. So if you're going to get the buyer broker out, read line 9. No other realtor is going to do that.
Awesome. Well, we jumped a whole lot into the mentality behind asking for it. We didn't really work around the scripting. We will continue to do so. And I want you guys to understand, when you're asking somebody to sign an agreement to work solely with you, it is in their best interest to do so. And if you're having a hard time converting those things, you're having a hard time getting somebody to sign a buyer broker, or you feel uncomfortable even asking, look internal. And how would you feel if you were in that situation? How would you feel if you were the consumer? Oftentimes, the hurdles that we're facing in our careers are those that we ourselves have a problem with on the consumer side of things. So look introspectively and find out what may be the hurdle in your own heart that would keep you from projecting proficiently towards a new client and getting them to sign as well. So awesome, guys. It is 8:31. It is time for you to go out there and do some greatness with your Thursdays. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will see you on the questions and answers calls if you need to. Links at 1KWSA at 8:45. Otherwise, I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful day.